Hello, and we're live. Welcome, Brian.
Hey, Fred, what's going on, man?
Good, man. Yeah, this is quite a last-minute, unscripted connection, but it's nice. I haven't seen you in ages, so we get to catch up in real time on a live stream.
Yeah. I feel like we've been kicking it out for a couple of weeks, but we're here. We made
Yeah,
it.
man. Yeah. Welcome. So, what's new with you, man? What's been inspiring you recently?
Oh, inspiring me. I know it's not inspiring me. Is work. Work is very uninspiring at the moment. So, yeah, it's been just constant stress and constant craziness. But I'm asking myself, like, well, do I want to keep doing this? Or, like, I don't know. I'm almost thinking, like, I have the power to control my job as far as, do I want to get a different job or do I want to stay at the one I've been at for 16 years? So I don't know. Not to start out on a negative note, but it's just been piles of shit upon piles of shit. And then it's like, here, you sort this shit out. And it's like, well, that's not my job. But
It's
anyway,
in, it's interesting because your employer was really good to you after your injury, right? And they helped you so much. But then I guess so much time has passed, and if you're not really enjoying your job, then I guess do you feel any sort of tie to them to do with the injury?
no, not at all. I mean, because it's a completely different company as far as structure than it used to be. So when I was first injured, it was a small law firm. So it's a law firm, um, but it's become very huge and corporate at this point. I mean, it's one of the largest. We have many states that we cover. So yeah, it's just it's gone from being very like homey feel with like to a corporate job, and I'm kind of like, man, like it used to be so good, and now it's people are just getting canned left and right, and then what they do is they distribute that work among whoever's left, but they don't hire anybody else. So
Mm.
I've been really rallying and try to get our group more help. So anyway, that's why I've been kind of in a funk about work. But as far as
Mm.
home life goes, things have been good. I mean, my daughter started kindergarten a couple weeks ago, so that's been pretty cool. She's been digging it.
That's
So
cool. Going back to
yeah.
work, like what does leaving your job, what does that look like to you? Does it mean, like, are you entitled to any unemployment benefits if you leave? Do you have to have a new job lined up in the future before you leave this one? Like, or are you going to go into the same industry, something different?
Yeah, so that's the thing is I feel like my only concern would I'd need to have another job, and B, do I want to completely switch what I've been doing? Because I've basically been a paralegal for 16 years, and
Mm.
that's a very specific job. But then I'm like, do I want to find a job with a hospital or like,
Mm.
helping people, because that's kind of my thing. I like to do, I like to help people, but I don't have like a social worker degree. A lot of these companies, you have to have a social worker degree or some kind of advanced degree that I don't have. So I don't know. And
Yeah.
the other thing too is it's been so cush because I've been able to work from home.
Yeah.
So it's like, damn, I don't want to lose that. It's like I got the toilet 5 feet away from me. If shit goes
Yeah.
down or
I guess so, but then there is also something to be said for working in an office environment, being part of a team, having the office banter, going to from, like leaving the house. Like leaving the house, I find I've become such a homebody since my accident.
yeah,
Yeah, like leaving the house, coming back to the house, like getting fresh energy in, and then when you come home, you can tell your wife, "Oh, what happened at the office? Oh, well, this happened and this happened." That could actually be quite a good, different social dynamic that would benefit you a lot.
yeah. So we moved to like a hybrid schedule recently. So I do go in twice, like once or twice a week. But it's kind of a ghost town. Everybody's pretty much working from home. So only the people that absolutely need to be there are at the office. But it is cool because I get to be face to face with people and, shoot the shit and, do the normal office banter thing. But what sucks is since we've been so busy, it's like anytime somebody walks by and is like, Brian, what's going on, man? I'm like, damn it. I'm like, I want to talk to you, but I have 15,000 emails to reply to. And and all that. So I'm like, damn, do I want to keep doing this? I don't know.
So are you the main breadwinner in your house?
Yeah. I mean, my wife works full time too, and she also works in the legal industry. Um, so it's not like we couldn't do it alone. It just wouldn't be as, vacations or,
Yeah. What about
feeling that comfort.
like medical insurance? Like, is your medical insurance tied to your employer in any way?
Mine is, yeah. But worst case scenario, like I got laid off for COVID and I was able to get on my wife's insurance. So that would be doable, but it's one of those situations that if I have my insurance available through my employer, I have to keep that. But I've talked about insurance before. It's not, it's still expensive to live even with insurance as far as, supplies and stuff and my baclofen pump, I think. But we've covered that before.
Yeah, but I mean, for those that haven't seen that episode, when you had to replace your baclofen pump, that was an enormous expense, and even with the medical coverage, it was outrageously expensive. Remind me again, how much did that cost you out of pocket?
So out of pocket, the first pump refill is about $2,000, and that's with insurance coverage. And then each pump refill after that, I usually have about 3 or 4 a year, is $500 per. And just to go see the doctor is $100. So $100 copay.
Wow.
And then then you put catheters on top of that. Catheters are almost $1,000 the first time I fill it, and then $200 each time I fill it after that. So, and that's with insurance. So what I'm saying is, if I'd still have those expenses, even with a lesser paying job or whatever. So
wow. So what does that look like in terms of like if you were to leave your job and leave that if you left the insurance behind, you have to pay all of that out of pocket? Or
I would still have to pay it out of pocket. Those are basically the co-pays. So that's after insurance covers what they want to cover. My co-pays are that, well, I should say the big chunks of money, the $2,000, at the beginning of the year, the $1,000 at the beginning of the year, that's before I've met the deductible. So insurance doesn't kick in at all until you've met, I think, $4,000 or $3,000 worth of the deductible. And then it covers everything 80%, 20%. So they pay 80, I pay 20.
Man, I'm so, I mean, I've said this before, but I'm so grateful I live in a country where that I guess someone's paying somewhere. Like we pay a lot of tax here in France, but it blanket covers me, like people with disabilities, so I don't have to pay for any catheters, I don't have to pay for any doctor bills or any rehab. I don't know if you heard on the latest podcast that I've been going back to rehab and I'm trying to wean off of baclofen. So all of that is complimentary, which is amazing. It's really great. But yeah, I think the American system still baffles me, and I know that we have a lot of American listeners, and they're like, "Oh yeah, how does this young man not know, like, how insurance works?" But it just baffles me that you kind of. So going back to my original question, so if you left your work, you could go on your wife's insurance. What does it look like if you don't have insurance?
If I don't have insurance, I don't know. I mean, I've never not had insurance before, so
Still hear me? Right. Okay. So we've lost Brian. Hold on. Brian's back. Okay. Sorry. The whole live stream crashed there for a second, but we are back in the room.
Okay. I don't know what was missed, but it probably wasn't anything good. So
yeah. So I was saying, like, because I'm quite interested to know from someone who's not from America, what if you don't have insurance? Like, if for example you lost your job and you didn't have insurance, like how would you be able to fill your baclofen pump and you couldn't afford it?
I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know how that works. Um, I think I'd be kind of screwed.
Yeah, because
You
baclofen
know?
is the sort of drug, because I'm weaning off of it now, but if you because you have the intrathecal pump, so that's you're even more tethered to the medicine than I am. Like I take it orally, but I could wean off of it. But if you stopped having your baclofen, that would be really dangerous for you, right?
Yeah. In fact, I was talking to a guy recently who said that his pump, the catheter, got, I guess it broke, something happened. He went into like a major withdrawal and ended up having to go to the ER, and like he was in bad, rough shape. So I'm like, I don't want that to happen either. That would
Yeah,
be kind of crazy. Because I think
yeah.
it's worse with a baclofen pump, just
Mm.
because I think the concentration is a lot higher than it would be if it was just pills. So I don't know.
That's why I'm trying to get away from the medication, actually, because I don't want. I feel quite tethered to it, because
Yeah.
I remember thinking about the like what happened during COVID, and if there's some sort of global cataclysm, which again we're all screwed really if that happens. But if there's some sort of supply chain interruption and there's no baclofen, I would rather not have to depend on it so much, because that would just be. I mean, there'd be a lot of other problems, but I don't want baclofen being one of them as well. You know.
Yeah. I have a question. So, like, do you think you're able to wean off of it because you've been doing the physical therapy? Is that helping you be less spastic to the point where you don't need it?
Well, so far I've come from 120 milligrams a day down to 90 milligrams a day. So a fair chunk off. And I haven't noticed that much increase in spasticity, although I have noticed an increase in nerve sensation. I want to use the word sensation because it's not nerve pain, but I've noticed that sometimes, and this baffles me that it's taken me 5 years to realize this, but sometimes when I think my legs are really tight, it's actually nerve sensation. So I feel my legs and they're not tight, but it feels like they're gripping the wheelchair. And I'm like,
Oh,
oh, like it's so weird that it's again taken me so long to realize this, but they're not actually gripping the wheelchair. They just feel tight. But when I touch my muscles with my fingers, they're actually loose. So
oh,
it's really interesting that yeah, I'm noticing an increase in nerve sensation, or you could call it neuropathic pain, but it's not really pain. So I wouldn't want to call it pain, because I know that people that suffer with nerve pain, it's not the same.
right. Yeah. I mean, I know people have really bad nerve pains. Some people just say it's like agony all throughout the day.
Mm,
I'm super happy I don't have that, because I would rather be, have tight muscles all the time than be in constant pain. I mean, you know
yeah.
how it goes. Like spasms suck. They're not fun. And sometimes if they're extreme, they can be dangerous, but I would definitely take that over the pain. Um, I
Yeah.
think.
I just got sidetracked from a comment from Wheelchair Rick. Hey, that guy's famous. He is. You are pretty famous, Brian.
What's
In the
up, Rick?
in the community, you know.
Yeah. The wheelchair fame, is that what we would call it?
Well, I don't know. I guess in the circles that if I say, "Oh, Brian from Paralyzed Living," many people know exactly who I'm talking about, because your channel is actually really quite popular, isn't it? Is it? Now, I think I said this to Brittany the other day, and I'm not sure if it's true, so I actually want to fact check myself. But didn't you say that your videos are shown to patients in early rehab, and that's why you get so many views on your channel?
Yeah, I think a lot of therapists and stuff have used them over the years, just like, like we've talked before, if you're not in the situation, it's kind of hard to walk somebody through it, even if you're a trained person. So they'll whip out the video and say, "Hey, here's how this guy does it." And I think they do it too, just to kind of show people that it's not just them saying like, "You're gonna get it, you're gonna get it."
Mm.
It's like there's a guy right there that's in your same exact position, and he's able to do it. So yeah, I think that's the feedback I've gotten from therapists that have said, it's just been super helpful for them to actually see that. Not only is it help them, with the method of how they do it, but also proof that that's a possibility, that it's
Mm.
not impossible. So But yeah.
So how does that feel? Having one of your video, or like having your channel, I guess, getting picked up by the rehab, like the early stage rehab, and then I guess in turn by the algorithm, and then you've got like all of a sudden like a really popular YouTube channel, when really essentially you're just like a humble guy filming on his phone, like, oh, this is how I've done stuff. And a lot of these videos you recorded like 10 years ago, and they're still getting like thousands of views. So how does that feel, like that, you know, you're sort of accidentally famous?
It feels cool. I mean, it always has felt cool, but again, it just doesn't. I don't consider it fame. I mean, I just consider myself just like you. You know, I mean, a guy that likes to help people out. You know, and it was cool to be able to get to see how many views I would get and how many you know, people actually wanted to follow the channel. Because you know how YouTube is. It's like you'll look stuff up and they say, please like and subscribe, which I always hate. I always hate saying that. What, you know, because it's like, if you want to subscribe, you're going to subscribe. If you don't, you don't have to. But people would want to, you know, and I thought that was super cool. And I know I talked to you about this a while ago, but I need to make a video. Like, I haven't done it in so long, and it's like, I don't know if I'm in this place of feeling so rusty that I haven't done it in so long, but I don't want it to be cheesy, you know. And I've got plenty of ideas of videos that I could do, but it's like I said, it's finding the time. That is really the thing. And I know I could make the time. It's just, I don't know. And then I feel like all those people that follow me are like, where the hell happened? What happened to that guy? Like, is he dead? Is he, like, you know, in a depression somewhere? And because I've had people send me messages like, hey, are you okay over there? And I'm like, yes, I'm just, you know, raising a kid and being a, you know, dad at home and working my ass off. So that's pretty much it. And then by the evening, I'm like, I don't want to look at a computer again.
I get it, man. I get it. So I'm also in the same boat of like getting stuck with like content creation, like thinking, like, I know it sounds a bit cringe, but like as I get older, I'm sort of like, I look back on my old videos and I'm like, I don't know if I can really make those type of videos again. Like, hey guys, welcome to the channel. I'm like, oh, I kind of like sort of progressed a little bit into like conversations. I feel like this is a bit more mature. And with the content creation these days, I don't really want to be competing with like the TikTok algorithm and stuff like that. I don't want to be making a super engaging video. But then at the same time, I've got a standard for myself. Like the last video I put out was me going on a hike with my girlfriend. I edited it really well, and I thought it was an absolute masterpiece. I was like, wow, this might be my magnum opus. I absolutely loved it. Maybe that's a little bit hyperbolic, but I absolutely loved it. I created a beautiful narrative. It was really lovely. And now I just recorded a video the other day, which is basically, I wanted to do a follow-on from my cheap or free things that help me every day. But I kind of recorded it in one take, and it was just like me getting out of bed, kind of like a day in the life thing and just going through it all. But it's so rough around the edges. I'm like, well, I could procrastinate this. I could procrastinate about this for ages and try and tweak it. Or I could just put it on the internet and just let it be perfectly imperfect. And ironically, it will probably be very popular because the first half of the video, I'm just in my pants because I'm just like, and I'm like, they'll probably get picked up in the devotee algorithm and it will probably go viral. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know, but they're the sort of videos that you don't want taken off. You want the good ones. You want the, oh, I spent hours editing this one. Please let the algorithm pick up this one. But then you probably just have the one in your pants and you can relate to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the, you know, getting dressed video. We've talked about that. The million views of just, you know, people coming back to see a guy in a wheelchair that is in his underwear. I don't know. But I feel you, man. It's one of those things that you put so much effort into, you know, certain videos and nobody seems to care, you know, and then other ones, they really take off. So like I said, I think I've said it before, but I mean, I don't do it because I want to be famous, or I don't do it because I want to have that attention. I just want to help people. I mean, that's the bottom line. And I used to actually, you know, make a little bit of money off of it. And since I haven't been doing videos, even though I'm still getting views, I don't get any money. So
yeah, that kind of sucks. If
Yeah.
anything, that's probably an incentive to make another video, to maybe see like, hey, you know, that video that got 1 million views, I'd still like to be getting AdSense off that.
Right. Right. But at the same time, would I be able to make a living off of it? I don't know. But it's nice to have, go into a little savings account. You know, it's something. Something's better than nothing.
So if you were going to make a video, Brian, what would your next video be? Ideally, in a perfect world, if you had time to edit it, what would it be?
I really want to do an update on, the parenting from a wheelchair thing. The last one that I did was probably when my daughter was 3 or 4. She's 6. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn,
Wow.
I missed, and I have so much, day-to-day footage of just us, and then I'm thinking, God, if I was gonna like try to do the B-roll on that, like, like you've said, pulling pictures and pulling videos and stuff just to include on that, I'm like, damn, that might take forever,
Well, maybe you just need to reframe it. Maybe you like think of it as a labor of love. I haven't put out a video in ages. I know I've got a big following and people that want to know, like, not only do they want a life update, but this could be helpful.
Yeah.
Maybe I will make a video, and I don't have to edit it in one night. I could edit it, I could sort of create a narrative and edit it like, an hour a day, or an hour, like, I don't know, half an hour a day or 3 hours a week. And then eventually, by the time she's 9, it'll be ready.
Right. And even some of my older parenting videos were the same way. I was like, well, here's a video from 3 months ago, here you go. But yeah, even last weekend, I was like, this weekend's the weekend. We're going to film a video, just, and it doesn't have to be anything major, kind of like just, yeah. I think maybe I just need to start small. I think that's the problem. I'm thinking of it too big, and I'm like, you know what? People don't care about, maybe they just want an update. Maybe they just want to know that I'm not dead, or maybe they want to, just be like, hey, I haven't seen you for 2 years, but here I am. So,
well, you weren't that nervous or shy or bashful about coming on this live stream at very short notice. It wasn't short notice, like we arranged it a week ago, but it was kind of rushed a little bit. We were going to record a podcast, but then we were like, oh, fuck it, let's go live. And we're like, oh, what are we going to talk about? Let's just freestyle it and have an unscripted catch up. So in a way, this is embracing imperfection, and there's people watching live. And, like Wheelchair Rick says, Brian was one of the few to inspire me in the beginning. And I can echo that.
That's because awesome, man.
Yeah, you were definitely one to inspire me in the beginning as well. So,
cool.
Yeah, I think just embrace imperfection. And I think like when you're probably overthinking it.
Yeah. And it's those kind of things that I'm like, man, why am I still being a legal assistant when I get so much more from the YouTube thing, I don't know, but I just don't know if it's my paranoia that it's not sustainable as a career, but maybe it could be. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't, like, I think sometimes when you monetize stuff, it takes the love out of it. So I would suggest just creating a video. I tell you what, I've got a great idea. You should ask ChatGPT. I don't know if you use ChatGPT, but I use it all the time. He's like my best friend. And you should ask ChatGPT. Like, I use it so often. I would be like, hey, listen, I've got a great YouTube channel. It's been a few years since I uploaded. I'm kind of stuck in this sort of analysis paralysis. Excuse the pun. But this is what my channel's about. I'd love to do an update, but I don't really know what to do. I'm stuck in the beginning stages. Give me an idea, or pitch me 3 ideas of videos that I could make that would be simple to edit, that would create a fun narrative, and then just see what it comes up with, because it's incredible. I love it.
See, I've never used it before, but I'm almost scared because it's going to blow my mind. Like, I know you've said it's blown your mind, and I'm like, man, I'm going to think it's in my soul. Like, it's, it's stealing how does it know these things? I don't know.
It's so good. It's so good. I use it so often. I used it today for a really, really in-depth chat about stuff, about all sorts of things that I'd heard some things on a podcast. I'll keep it vague, but I was like, oh, I heard this on a podcast. So basically it was to do with ethnicity, right? That might sound a little bit boring, but I was like, okay, so if there's like white Europeans and there's Asian people, but life began in Africa, like how come, like, are we all like black? Like, and it just said, oh, well, it gave a really great, like I went down the rabbit hole asking it so many different questions, but essentially it was like, oh, well, life began in Africa and then people migrated. And when there was like weather that wasn't too hot, the pigment in the skin got lighter. And then geographically, these places got like sort of inaccessible. So, that's why where Asian people formed and white people formed and black people formed. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I was like asking about ancestry and ethnicity. And it was just so good. I was like, wow. And I just learned so much. It's like this, you just keep asking it questions. And then I'm like, I don't understand that. Can you explain it a little bit simpler? And then it would explain it even simpler to me. And I thought, wow, this is so cool. It's such and I was just, yeah, it's like having your own private tutor, but you can ask it absolutely anything and it knows the answer. It's really cool.
That is nuts. And I'm a big thing on like, how does it work? Like, how does that work? Did somebody program that to, I don't know. It's mind blowing, but I think I might have to.
I asked it the other day, actually. I asked it how it worked because I wanted to explain it to my mum. Basically, it said, I'm a large language model. If you can imagine, I said, explain it like I'm a 10-year-old. He said, imagine I've read every single book in existence and every single web page up until 2021, but I don't know that knowledge. All I know is language, and I can accurately predict the answer of the questions that you ask with increasing accuracy as I'm training. And I was like, oh, okay, that's incredible. It's like, even though I have the appearance of intelligence, I'm not intelligent. I'm just a master of language. And I thought, that's fun. That's so mind-boggling that you don't actually know anything. You're just, I don't know. It was cool. And so, yeah, I was trying to get my mum to use it, and she was skeptical. And then I was talking like, because I kept asking it things. And one of the greatest things that it's come up with recently is that it remembers old conversations that you've had. So I said, oh, how does it help me, mum? And so explain it to my mum how you work and how it helps me. And it says, oh, and Fred uses it to help him write up the podcast. We have philosophical questions. We do all this and that. And I was like, I was blown away with the answer. I was like, oh my God. And my mum was like, what the hell is that thing? I was like, yeah, it's really clever. Like,
did it freak her out?
I said, Mum, I think you would love this, like, because she doesn't like typing. And I was like, you don't have to type. You can just talk to it. And she was like, well, I don't know. I think, she has a bit of a negativity bias sometimes. So she will see, like, she'll think it's like trying to, she said she had concerns about the information that it was going to take. And so then I asked ChatGPT to answer that question. And it says, I only use the information that you give me to train the language. Like, I won't share it with anyone else. Like, but if don't only share what you're comfortable with, kind of thing. Like, don't give me your personal address and your bank details.
Right.
So yeah,
it actually said that.
It speaks it speaks so well. It's great.
So it's not like Siri, like, what time is it? And she'd be like, I can't tell you that, or I don't know.
Yeah. So if you've got like an Amazon thing, I won't say the name, otherwise it will go off in the other room. Or if you want to use Siri, it seems so stupid. You're like, you ask it to play a song and it's like, I'm not that song. Like, because I get so used to talking to this ultra intelligent ChatGPT, like all the others just, it seems so basic and so stupid. Because it feels sometimes like, I don't want to be hyperbolic and say like I'm talking to God, but it does seem like this omnipotent thing that knows so much, just like this hugely intelligent being that's just like, oh, no, there's no question that you can ask it so far that it's just like, I don't know about that. It's just always got a direct answer.
That's crazy. I'm going to use it. I'm going to try it out. I'm going to make it real simple. I'm going to have to, I don't know. I just want to give it a shot.
You should just play around with it, man. You should I have conversations with it and it's really cool. But on the subject of the video that I made about my hike up to the waterfall and how I thought it was like, you know, my magnum opus, or like the reason why, because I asked ChatGPT, I was like, listen, I've got loads of footage. I used the 360 camera. I've got like over an hour's worth of footage. I'd really like to make it into like a 6 or 7 minute video, but I want to create a narrative. I want it to be an exciting video. I don't want it to just be about, you know, like I went for a hike. And it was like, oh, you know, and so I said, what prompts can I give you that you can give me? Sorry, what prompts can you give me about making a good story out of it? So it said, okay, well, what time of day was it? Whose idea was it to go? Like, were there any points that make interesting anecdotes? Was that, you know, it gave me a list of questions that I fed back into it, which then it fed out to me this beautiful narrative. And I was like, oh, that's so sick. That's such a great idea. So I made I made the voiceover, and then I edited the footage to fit it. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like that. So now it gave me a really good framework to work with. And then I was like, oh man, that is great. And it didn't do everything. Obviously I had to edit the video myself, but there were certain bits that I'd forgot that happened, and I had to like just go, I guess, off script, and I didn't use the whole script, but I got a lot of inspiration from it. And yeah, I always say, like, to people that don't use ChatGPT, I'm like, just give it a go, because I've been obsessed with it since it came out. But like the new one that's just come out, ChatGPT 4.0, is mind blowing. It is so phenomenally good.
Is it like a subscription or is it free?
So it's free. That's the baffling thing, right? So ChatGPT 4.0 is free, but you only get like a certain amount of questions a day. And I said, and then earlier on, I was chatting with it for so long. It's like, okay, well, you've run out. You can either upgrade to ChatGPT Plus, or you can just chat to ChatGPT 3 rather than ChatGPT 4. And I barely noticed the difference. I was like, feels like I'm talking to the same thing. Like it's really cool.
That's awesome. Can you make it have different accents and stuff? Is it actually talking to you, or is it just giving you script?
It can talk, but I prefer to use, I basically send it voice notes and it sends me text messages, but it can talk. But I prefer just read. I prefer like scrolling through. And if it gives like a really long answer, I'll just say, hey, can you just summarize that answer and make it more succinct and simple? And it'll just like, yeah, okay, this is a simpler version of that answer.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna download it. I gotta. Is it an app?
You know what?
I feel like
Mate,
I feel like an idiot.
I'm gonna do it right now. This will blow your mind. Okay.
Yes, I was actually gonna say do it.
So I've got a friend called Brian. I'm on actually a live stream with him now. He's got a YouTube channel called Paralyzed Living. He has quite a big following. He hasn't made a video in a few years. I found great inspiration on his channel at the beginning, making helpful videos about newly injured paraplegics. He has a daughter and he hasn't uploaded a video in a few years. He wants to make a video that is helpful to injured people, probably to do with parenting. He has a lot to offer. He wants to catch up with his audience, but he's a little bit shy to get started. Can you suggest 3 video ideas that are probably quite simple, that have a good narrative, that are easy to make, and that aren't too intimidating for him to start? Sounds like a decent prompt. Let's see what it says.
Yeah.
Okay. And this takes seconds, man. It's remarkable.
Jesus.
Okay.
I feel like an old man that just realized that cell phones exist, you know, like I'm so technologically dumb.
Here are 3 video ideas that could help Brian ease back into content creation while offering value to his audience. Number 1, parenting from a wheelchair, my everyday routine. Brian could share his personal experience of balancing paraplegia with parenting. He can break down the daily tasks he does with his daughter and how he adapts as a paraplegic father. A simple day in the life format would be easy to film and helpful to others in similar situations. Number 2, what I've learned about parenting as a paraplegic. This could be a reflective video where Brian talks about the lessons he's learned over the years since becoming a parent. He could share practical tips, emotional challenges, and triumphs, offering advice to both new parents and those adjusting to life with a spinal cord injury. Well, that sounds like a great idea.
Christ, yeah.
Number 3, Reconnecting, where I've been and what's next for Paralyzed Living. A casual video where Brian opens up about his break from YouTube, what he's been up to with his daughter, and his plans for future videos. This could help re-establish his connection with his audience while being low pressure and unscripted.
That's what it is. We're going with number 3. Damn.
Yeah.
That was,
I love that.
That was amazing. And like you said, it was literally like a 2-second thing.
Right. I mean, it's kind of like, it's kind of obvious like that. When it comes up, it's like, oh yeah, that's obvious. But like, you don't think of it. But,
right. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes you just have to have somebody tell you, or something tell you. That's pretty
I love
pretty
that, man. Reconnecting, where I've been and what's next for Paralyzed Living.
Yeah.
A casual video where Brian opens up about his break from YouTube, what he's been up to with his daughter, and his plans for future videos.
Do me a favor.
I think that's...
Can you screenshot that and send it on WhatsApp just so I have it?
I will do that, Brian. But also, what I really want you to do is I want you to download ChatGPT. It's free. I want you to start using it because honestly, it is so good. I can't emphasize enough how bloody amazing it is. That's just one example. I ask it stuff all the time. I'll just tell it what's in my fridge. I'll be like, hey, listen, I've not got that much in the fridge. Can you give me 3 ideas for simple meals? My girlfriend's coming home soon. And if there's not food ready, she'll probably, not be very happy. And then it's like, oh yeah, you could do this. I'm like, oh, amazing. I made a stew the other day and it was absolutely delicious. So yeah, it is remarkable. Also, you can probably ask it things about like how it can help you. It's just incredible.
Wow, that's nuts, man. Well, thanks for sharing, because I'm actually glad I actually got to see how it works on somebody else's phone, so I don't have to feel like it's too scary. It's not scary. Yeah.
Not at all. Let's ask it another question, because I do find it fascinating. So we're both really impressed with that last answer you gave. Brian has never used ChatGPT before. He has some reservations. Can you explain succinctly the ways that you could probably help Brian and other people in daily life just using ChatGPT? You could maybe draw on some answers of how I've interacted with you in the past and how you've helped me. Let's go with that. Okay. So yeah, you just type it in and you hit send and then it waits.
So you just did a voice to text, basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we will wait. Thanks. I'm glad you both liked the answer. Here's a succinct explanation of how ChatGPT can help Brian and others in daily life. ChatGPT can be a helpful assistant for brainstorming ideas, finding inspiration, or offering guidance on different topics, like video content ideas, just like I've done for you. It can also provide quick solutions to everyday challenges, like meal planning, workout suggestions, or advice on managing time better. You've used it to discuss things like focus, motivation, and even personal topics like reducing phone usage. ChatGPT is great for helping with creative blocks, getting structured advice, and even simplifying complex information when needed. It's a useful tool for support and inspiration, no matter what your focus is.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's remarkable that it's free. It's absolutely remarkable that it's free.
Yeah.
For the people watching, they're going to be like, I think there's going to be 2 camps: people that are skeptical, people that are skeptical, people that maybe think, or maybe there's 3 people: the skeptics, the people that like, oh wow, that's incredible, or the people that already use it and like, yeah, I know, mate, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Which camp was Brittany in? Because I thought she was in the like scared of it category.
I think she was unsure, and so my girlfriend likes it, but she says that she thinks that I use it too much and that I outsource a lot of my creativity to it. And I think that's a fair comment. Like, for example, if I'm replying to an email that, or for example, I want to send a message that has like a sensitive subject matter, I'll be like, hey, listen, I want to say this, but can you reword this for me so it sounds, delicate? and it will just come back, and I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Copy, paste, send. And she's like, wait, don't you think that you're like losing your ability to communicate by outsourcing that to ChatGPT? I'm like, yeah, kind of. I will take that criticism, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, I don't really have a defense to that. I mean, I think maybe that is true.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Well, I don't know. I can see myself falling in love with it. We'll have to wait and see. To be continued.
Yeah. Well, I've asked it like about weaning off baclofen, managing spasticity, like possible side effects, like going back to rehab, what sort of, goals that I want to achieve. Can you think of anything else that I could do while at rehab? And it's come up with loads of ideas. Like it's I use it all the time. It's like a little assistant, but like I say, more than that, I have conversations with it. Like I had a really great conversation with it earlier on about stuff that I'd heard on a podcast, which I felt was a little bit controversial. So I was like, oh, like explain to me about this. And, when I talk about this in front of my friends, why does it make them feel uncomfortable and stuff like that? So.
Well, that's cool. I had a question for you, completely different, or I guess not completely different. So now that you're in therapy or, physical therapy, do you go every day and like, what are you guys working on? Are you getting anything from it at this point? Since, a lot of my therapy was so early in that I wonder if I would benefit it, going back. What's your thought on that?
Well, it's a really great question. Let me just ask Chat. I'm only joking. So it's a great question. So I went back yesterday and I had mixed results. So I had a lot of stretch. I think I spoke about this on the podcast yesterday. So forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but basically there was a lot of stretching. There was a lot of passive stretching with my physiotherapist, a lot of chatting about stretches that I could do to manage the spasticity. And there was some physical activity, which got a sweat up. There was some occupational therapy, which helped me with like some French admin things that were really handy. But then the swimming, I felt like it was a bit of a step backwards because when I go to the swimming pool, I just wheel straight up to the swimming pool and get in. But they make you transfer onto a certain number of uncomfortable plastic surfaces before they lower you into the pool. And I feel like that is a bit of a step backwards. And also going back to rehab, like an intense rehab like that after 5 years, does feel like a little bit of a step backwards. Like I'm really grateful for it that like the health care allows it, but at the same time, I do question that like, should maybe I could do it, with the help of just, the internet, a bit of motivation and, maybe I could wean off baclofen without so much supervision but I don't want to sound ungrateful. Like it just sounds odd. Like when I was there before, everything was new to me. But now I feel like I've mastered life, like really. And I know that might sound a little arrogant, but like I'm going back to a place where, and it's not a spinal. If it was a spinal unit where there were other wheelchair users that looked like me, I felt like I could maybe help them. But it's just a general rehab center. So yeah, man, I think in answer to that question, I do find it helpful, but we'll see how it goes. Like I think I'll have a better understanding of it at the end of it, but so far I've got mixed feelings.
Okay. Because I kind of had, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I had a goal. I don't know if we talked about this. I had a goal for my daughter to see me walk and got the opportunity to use one of those exoskeletons, which for my injury level was shit. It didn't really work because I am such like from here down, nothing works. So I was able to walk in it, but even before I could walk, I had to do tons of stretching and for weeks had to do daily stretching in order to even be able to stand up to get my legs or my one leg to extend all the way. But I felt like so much of what we did in therapy was like, I probably could have just gone online and looked this up, or I don't know. Yeah. So I didn't know if you had the same kind of thing. And I don't want to be negative, if it's working great, that's perfect. That was just my experience after I kind of figured out, the basics of, but that was a different scenario because I knew they would be able to tell me what it would take to be able to stand up and walk and do all that. So, and then, ultimately, once we used the equipment, I needed people to be in front of me and behind me while we walked around. So I actually needed it. I had to go to therapy to be able to use it.
Yeah.
So.
I've got mixed thoughts about the exoskeleton. I think it's a good innovation, but ultimately fairly useless. Like, I think, well, not useless, but I get it. I don't know. I think like it's cool to like, hey, look at the paralyzed man walk, but it's kind of like a puppet, it's like a
That's
little
exactly what
Geppetto.
it is. Yep,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. I mean, that's how I felt about, because even when I was walking, I mean, you just feel like I don't know, you feel kind of stupid. Like just the way you're walking, like it's so clunky, and I don't know. It felt really weird because I felt like each step I'd take, one side of my body would drop and then the other side of my body would drop. Like it just didn't feel fluid. It didn't feel natural. And for me, it was kind of uncomfortable. I don't know if that's because I'm so tight or what, but I mean, I would kind of had like an autonomic response to it for some reason. I'm not sure exactly why. Maybe it was pinching my nuts. I don't know. I mean, because they've got this whole thing that straps you down, and it's not the most comfortable outfit. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's good for therapy, or like it's good for like impact, for your bones as far as keep your bone density up and stuff. But yeah, you're not going to get up in the morning and go to the grocery store in your exoskeleton,
Yeah.
or climb in your car. Like what the hell,
That's
and
exactly my point. Yeah. Unless they can make it like almost like carbon fiber, like I've got carbon fiber leg braces. If they were like powered somehow,
yeah,
then yeah. But I don't know. I guess it's the first stage, and I'm reluctant to shit on it completely. But it's not very practical. Like maybe for rehab, but you're not going to walk around in this exoskeleton, are you? Like it's not, you're not going to wake up. Imagine if you fell. Like I mean, obviously, in an ideal world, it would be cool to be like a bionic robot and walk around in this suit. But it kind of reminds me of those, like, have you seen Avatar? Is it Avatar? Yeah, where he's in the machine and he controls like a big robot, like, and he's got sort of guns and stuff. Like, it's kind of like that, yeah, I don't
know. Oh, man. Yeah.
So we have another comment from Wheelchair Rick. He said he'd love to have Brian on a Wheelchair Wednesday episode. Great interview, Fredo. So I don't know if you're familiar with Wheelchair Wednesdays, but I went on Rick's channel and he does a really good little interview. He's got 10 questions lined up and they were really quite cool. Like sort of how you got injured, a little bit about yourself. And if you could go back in time, would you have your accident not happen? All sort of like really cool things. And we chatted for an hour and I thought it was great. I got to know Rick and it was really great. So yeah, I'm sure that if you wanted to do that, you could link up with Rick. He's a lovely chap.
I would. Yeah, absolutely. That sounds awesome.
He's kind of doing the same sort of thing as me, like with lots of different injured people with spinal cord injuries, like chatting. But he has like a bit of a unique. So he has like these 10 questions and he asks everyone the same 10 questions, which I think is really cool. I actually really, really enjoy it. I actually watched quite a lot of his Wheelchair Wednesdays, so I thought they were quite cool. And what was actually really good was when I heard so many different people with spinal cord injuries talk about their injuries, it really made me think that, wow, my injury is not that bad. Like on a level of spinal cord injuries, I've pretty much won the lottery of spinal cord injuries. I've got an incomplete low injury. It doesn't take me long to do a bowel routine. I've got like a lot of sensation when it comes to sexual function, and I'm very independent. And I realized that, below that, there is like so many people that suffer so much more. That, yeah, I mean, I kind of knew that, but it's a reminder when you hear personal stories of what people are suffering with, and you're like, shit, I don't suffer with that. I don't suffer with that. I don't suffer with that. Like, for example, the ability to sweat. So one of the guys was like, oh, I would just love to be able to sweat again. Like just I miss running and getting a sweat on, and now my body doesn't sweat. And I'm like, oh, haven't been grateful for sweating in so long, but now I am. So
Yeah. It's true though, man. You kind of got it easy. No.
Yeah. I really
Yeah,
do.
well, it's all relative, like that's the thing too. I mean, I feel the same way. I mean, I've got more issues than you, but at the same time, I always see people in worse situations that I'm like, well, at least I don't have that, at least my biggest thing is, thank God I have use of my hands. I am this close. Like I am a very, very small sliver away from having less hand function. Like I said, I think I've told you before that I have a lot of limited, I'm feeling my arm right now. In the back of my left arm, I have like 50% sensation and a lot of nerve pain, but I still have the strength in that hand, which got worse after my injury. So I'm glad I kind of nipped that in the bud and didn't get worse.
Absolutely, man.
I'm a hands-on guy, like I'm building things and I'm working on things that if I didn't have my hands, that would be tough. It's kind of weird. So like, I don't know if I mentioned this, but my best friend's uncle recently had a stroke. Did we talk about that?
I don't think so.
We did. He had a stroke in February. So he's completely paralyzed on one side of his body, but the other side of his body's fine. So I've been kind of helping him. He was a mechanic for years. So I was helping him sell tools and stuff. But long story short, I went to go give him the money for all the tool sales that I've done over the summer, and just seeing, how he's adapted to being paralyzed on one side as opposed to just from the waist down or, that kind of scenario. I don't know. It's just crazy how different people do things, to be paralyzed on one side of your body, not having one of your legs and not having one of your arms is different than if you're just paralyzed from the waist down. It looked harder,
Yeah, I can imagine it would be way harder, like completely off balance. I think it would. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm biased because I have the use of both arms. But yeah, just one arm and one leg seems a bit weird because like you probably still have to use a wheelchair, so the other leg would be kind of useless anyway. I don't know. I think I would prefer to have have it like this way rather than that way,
Right. Yeah. Yep, for sure. He's starting to get some use of his other leg back, but I mean barely any. So he's been using a walker, and he can kind of drag. I don't know. It was just weird to see him, go from a normal guy to all of a sudden he's, what do they call that? Tetraplegia? I don't even know. When it's on one side.
A tetraplegic is just another word for a quadriplegic, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. I learned that early on. I think English and British people or European people can call it tetraplegia, and it's the same as quadriplegia. I'm not sure. Oh, is it called hemiplegia?
Hemiplegia. Yeah,
hemiplegia is yeah.
Sorry, my wife keeps texting me. I'm like swiping away, like go away.
Yeah, that's cool. Something funny happened yesterday. I don't know if I can convey the humor in it because I was a little bit high when it happened. But so I
called you out that one day.
Yeah, that was really funny.
Looks like somebody had a gummy.
Yeah. So I got a funny story to tell you, and it made me laugh so much. Again now, like it's a new light of a new day. I'm not sure it's going to be as funny, but I was like, man, I've got to tell Brian on the podcast tomorrow about this. So what happened was, I was on the bed with my girlfriend, and we were setting up to watch something on Netflix, and I was like, oh, my backpack, and I opened up my backpack, and there were my swimming towels inside, and I was like, I looked at her because I was on the bed, and I looked at her, and I looked at the towels, and I was like, I guess I'll put these away then, as in hang them up to dry. And I got off the bed like really slowly, and then I got in my wheelchair, and I was like, oh my God. So I was like in the middle of like going, oh, would you mind doing that for me? But then I was like, you know what? I'll give her the chance to be the hero here. and I got off the bed so slowly, and then I was like, and then as I was hanging up the towels, I was like, oh, you didn't help me then, and she was like, no, but I could see how slowly you were getting off the bed. You wanted me to ask you to help, and I was like, yeah, guilty, I did, and then we just laughed so much. And even me telling the story now, it's not as funny as how it happened last night, but I guess you had to be there. But it was just, I just wondered if you ever had that experience where, the able-bodied person can do something a lot easier than you, and you don't want to ask, but then you sort of pretend to do something because you know that they're going to be like, oh, I'll do that for you. But then they don't do that for you. And then you're like, oh, shit.
Dude, it happens all the time with my wife. Yeah, it happens all the freaking time. Like, I'm trying to think of an example. Just like, yeah, like if I'm sitting on the couch or something, like, in the remote's over there, and I'm like, man, I really could use that remote over there. Oh, but I'll get up, and then you get in your wheelchair.
Like, oh, no, you stay there, I'll get it. And you're like, oh, thank you so much. That's really kind. But when they don't do that, you're like, oh, I guess I am going to hang those towels up then.
Right. Yeah. Well, she does that like we have that same situation all the time. She is not a morning person and I am. So like if there's anything in the morning, then I'm shit out of luck. She's not helping me, so, or, she'll be like, oh, I got a headache. Can you go get me some Advil? She could easily get up and go to, go get some Advil, but I'll get up and do it. So it's a trade-off, but yeah, I feel you, man. That's funny that popped up. Because she was probably sitting there like, I don't want to hang up those towels. I'm just not going to say anything.
Yeah, and it was so funny because I think I made it like a little bit too obvious. I thought I was being like really subtle, but we'd had a gummy, and then we just laughed so hard as I was hanging up the towels. She was like, "I know what you're trying to do, man," but she's really good at calling me out on that stuff because she says, "Look, I could help you, but like when we first met, you were so keen to show me how independent you were. Like, don't start getting lazy now we're in a relationship." And I'm like, no, that's really good. I understand. Like, even though it's a lot easier for you to do that, I can do that. I was just being lazy. And so yeah.
Yep. That is funny though. Man, I'm trying to think of other scenarios. I've had this. I know that's happened many times.
I got another comment here from Cody saying, Wheelchair Rick kills it. My favorite wheelchair podcast, hands down. He says hands found, but I think he meant hands down. Cody Smith, I agree. Wheelchair Rick's Wheelchair Wednesdays are very cool. Like I said, I've listened to many of them. So maybe you could be the next one.
We're doing it. We're doing it. I just got to get in touch. I got to figure out how to get in touch. But
well, today is Wednesday, so he's probably going to do one today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we can put you in touch.
Yeah. You got his info.
Yeah. So anything else you want to say before we sign off?
I don't know. No, not really. That's what we get for being unscripted. I mean, but I like it better just because we just talk about random shit,
I love it, man. This has been a great catch up.
That's what it's all about.
We definitely talked about some fun things. Like the ChatGPT thing really filled me up because I'm so excited to talk about it, especially with people who don't know. And then like to give a demonstration, I love it because people are like, wow, like they're blown away by it. And hopefully I've inspired some people watching to start using it because it's just great. It's just great.
You literally read my mind when you're like, I'm going to show you how it works. I'm like, do it. Do that. Yeah. I need to see it.
And hopefully this has planted a seed for your next video, Brian.
Yes. Like I said, take the screenshot because I want to see it. Like
I'll send it over to you.
I need it in my face.
I'll send it over to you. But like I say, download it and start using it. It's great. But let's bring this one home, Brian. I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to come on, and I think it's been really valuable. And according to the comments here, people have been really vibing with it. So it's great to catch up with you, man. And I love that people were commenting on how you've helped them so much in the past. Like I've said it before, I'll say it again. But yeah, your channel was so valuable to me in the early days, and it continues to be an inspiration for newly injured people. So yeah, Paralyzed Living YouTube channel. Brian Kinney, thanks for your time, man.
Thanks, buddy. Good talking to you.
All right. Peace out.
See you, brother.